Hello. We are in the miniature, section 9. Distance 2 creates miniatures at all points on the horizon. And the dreamer, faced with these spectacles of distant nature, picks out these miniatures as so many nests of solitude in which he dreams of living. In this connection, Joe Bosque writes, I plunge into the tiny dimensions that distance confers, for I am anxious to measure the immobility in which I am confined with this reduction. A permanent invalid, this great dreamer bestrode the intervening space in order to plunge into tininess. The isolated villages on the horizon become homelands for the eyes. Distance disperses nothing, but on the contrary, composes a miniature of a country in which we should like to live. In distant miniatures, disparate things become reconciled. They then offer themselves for our possession, while denying the distance that created them. We possess from afar, and how peacefully. These miniature pictures on the horizon may be compared with the sights that characterize belfry daydreams, and which are so numerous that they are considered commonplace. Writers note them in passing, but vary them hardly at all. And yet what a lesson in solitude. From the solitude of a belfry tower, a man watches other men running about on the distant square, bleached white by the summer's sun. The men look the size of flies and move about irrationally like ants. These comparisons, which are so hackneyed that one no longer dares to use them, appear as though inadvertently in numerous passages that recount a belfry daydream. It remains true, nevertheless, that a phenomenologist of images must take note of the extreme simplicity of these reflections, which so successfully separate the daydreamer from the restless world and give him an impression of domination at little cost. But once its commonplace nature has been pointed out, we realize that this is specifically the dream of high solitude. Enclosed solitude would think other thoughts. It would deny the world otherwise, and would not have a concrete image with which to dominate it. From the top of his tower, a philosopher of domination sees the universe in miniature. Everything is small, because he is so high. And since he is high, he is great. The height of his station is proof of his own greatness. Many a theorem of topoanalysis would have to be elucidated to determine the action of space upon us. The action of space upon us. For images cannot be measured, and even when they speak of space, they change in size. The slightest value extends, heightens, or multiplies them. Either the dreamer becomes the being of his image, absorbing all in its space, or he confines himself in a miniature version of his images. What metaphysicians call our being in the world, être là, should be determined as regards each image, lest occasionally we find nothing but a miniature of being. I shall return to these aspects of this problem in a later chapter.